Have you ever felt like the world is moving on without you, leaving you behind in solitude? You try to connect, but the bonds seem to break, and the silence grows louder. It's as if Allah is pulling you away from everyone and everything. But why? My dear brothers and sisters, this isolation is not a punishment, it's preparation. Allah isolates the ones He chooses to refine, protect, and guide them to something far greater. Today, we'll explore 7 profound reasons why Allah isolates the chosen ones. Reasons that carry a wisdom most of us fail to see. Before we begin, reflect on this. What if this loneliness you're feeling is Allah's way of calling you closer to Him, away from the noise of the world? Let's find out why Allah isolating you, and how this could be the greatest blessing of your life. Let's begin. Number 1. Isolation to protect your heart. Have you noticed how, when you're surrounded by people, your heart can easily get distracted, caught up in the fleeting conversations, worldly comparisons, or even harmful influences? Allah sometimes pulls you away, my dear brothers and sisters, not to punish you, but to protect your heart. Think of a precious gem. To preserve its shine, you keep it away from anything that could scratch or dull it. That's your heart. Allah sees its potential and knows that being around certain people or environments could corrode its purity. Imagine this. You've been surrounded by friends or colleagues who subtly mock your deen or encourage you to stray from it. You start to compromise, just a little here, a little there. But then, suddenly, those same people drift away, leaving you confused and hurt. Yet, in hindsight, wasn't it Allah saving you from something that could harm your connection with Him? It's hard to see at the moment, but this distance is His mercy. It's a chance to reset, to purify, and to align your heart solely with Him. Let this isolation remind you of the ayah. So do not weaken and do not grieve, and you will be superior if you are true believers. The loneliness you feel is actually a space for Allah to fill with His love, His guidance, and His peace. Number 2. Isolation to refine your character. Have you ever noticed how, when you start working on yourself, the noise of the world seems to fade? It's as if Allah is deliberately removing the distractions, the unnecessary chatter, and even the people who might not align with your path. Why? Because isolation is Allah's way of refining you. Think about it. When you're surrounded by noise, whether it's constant opinions from others, meaningless distractions, or even unhealthy relationships, it's nearly impossible to hear your own thoughts, let alone connect deeply with Allah. Solitude strips away these layers. It forces you to confront who you really are and what truly matters. Let me ask you, have you felt this before? That in the quiet, uncomfortable moments of being alone, you suddenly see parts of yourself you didn't want to face? Maybe it's a habit you've been ignoring, or a weakness you've been hiding. Allah isolates you not to punish you, but to help you grow. Take a moment to reflect on this. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam often withdrew to the cave of Hira before receiving revelation. Those moments of solitude weren't just physical isolation, they were spiritual preparation. In the same way, your moments of isolation could be Allah's way of preparing you for something greater. But let's be real, it's not easy. Sometimes, being alone feels heavy, even painful. You might wonder why people who were once close to you are suddenly distant. Let me tell you, not everyone is meant to walk with you on this journey. Some people are seasonal companions, while others are there to teach lessons before stepping away. And that's okay. Remember this. The discomfort of solitude is temporary, but the clarity and strength it brings can last a lifetime. It's in this stillness that you learn to depend on Allah fully, without relying on anyone else. You start to see that your worth isn't tied to the approval of others, but to your relationship with your Creator. Now, let's reflect. Have you ever felt like isolation is unfair, or that it's a sign you're doing something wrong? It's not. It's Allah crafting you into the person He knows you can be. Number 3. Isolation strengthens your relationship with Allah. Have you ever felt like no one truly understands what you're going through? Like even when you try to explain your struggles, the responses don't resonate. This feeling isn't random. It's a divine invitation. When Allah isolates you, it's His way of drawing you closer to Him. Think about it. In times of ease, we often rely on people, friends, family, even material comforts. But in solitude, when those crutches are removed, you're left with the one who has been there all along, Allah. Let me ask you this. How many times have you turned to Allah with your whole heart, your tears flowing, only when you felt you had no one else to turn to? Isolation forces this deep reliance. It's as if Allah is saying, "Come to me. Let me be enough for you." But let's clear something up. This isn't about separating yourself from the Ummah. Islam is about unity, and the strength of our community lies in the bond of believers. What we're talking about here is a spiritual journey, a personal transformation that allows you to contribute to that unity in a stronger, more meaningful way. Look at the life of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He faced moments of profound loneliness, whether in the cave of Hira, on the battlefields, or during the hardships in Makkah. Yet those moments weren't about division. They were about preparation. Through those experiences, he emerged as the leader who united the Ummah under the banner of La ilaha illallah. Your isolation is no different. It's not about distancing yourself from others permanently. It's about temporarily stepping back to recharge, realign, and reconnect with Allah. When you return to the community, you do so with a stronger sense of purpose and contribution. So if you're feeling alone right now, let this be a reminder. This isn't about separation. It's about strengthening your foundation. And when your foundation is strong, your ability to unite with and uplift others becomes even greater. Number 4, the isolation is a training ground. You may have noticed this pattern. Every time you're about to grow, something or someone is removed from your life. Maybe it was a friendship you thought was unbreakable, or a support system you leaned on for years. And now, suddenly, it's gone. Have you ever paused to ask yourself why? Isolation isn't rejection, it's refinement. Allah removes distractions and attachments that could cloud your path. It's His way of sharpening your focus and teaching you lessons you couldn't learn in comfort. Think about Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. When he was thrown into the well, he was isolated and stripped of the support of his family. But that isolation wasn't abandonment, it was preparation. In the silence of that well, and later in prison, Yusuf alayhi salam was being molded into a leader. By the time he emerged, he wasn't just a man. He was a man of extraordinary wisdom, resilience, and faith.